Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John over here. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Full house.
Good. Upper left, Quinn, how you doing?
I'm doing.
Yeah, well, better than not doing. Down there in Los Angeles, I think we have Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, by the way, I don't think we're going to tell the exact numbers, but Nastasia just got today how much more the tariffs are going to be on the Spinzalls when they come in. And spoiler alert, it's a lot. F small business. Am I right, Stas?
Well, we don't make much, so we're only going to make like $10 profit on each of them, basically.
Listen. Before, we were losing $10 on each unit, so... Anyway, point being, nothing that this country hates more than a small business. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, you have a small business. How's healthcare?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway. Okay. And we got Jackie Molecules, also in Los Angeles. How you doing?
Yep, doing good.
sound like you're owning it there, Jack. I love it. And we have two special guests today, but unfortunately, because Newsstand Studios is quite literally in a hole, not a hole, more of a scoop in the wall, right? Joe, not a hole in the wall, because that would imply that it was like, this is wider than it is deep. Not really a hole.
It's very long. It's 16 by 6, 16 by 7.
Yeah.
No, long and narrow, and majority of the space is filled with wood cabinets.
Yeah. The only place narrower than Newsstand Studios that I go to regularly is Bar Contra.
Behind the bar.
Not in front, both sides of the bar. But, anyway, someone shows up, wants to go to a table, we tell everyone at the bar, get out! I'm kidding, it's not quite that bad, but it's damn close. So we have two special guests, one of which is not in Newsstand Studios, and Stas, you're going to be mad about this. The boondoggler herself is here, but not in the studio, so she can hear what we're saying, but we can't really bust wise on her because she's outside.
I think that was strategic.
Oh. Really? So you were like, you think she texted everyone ahead of time and didn't have me on the chain and was like, hey, make sure I'm not in the studio so that Dave doesn't just start going off. You think what's happened?
I imagine, yeah.
Well, we can easily solve it by giving her the phone number to call into. How's that?
Well, I think she's listening.
She is listening.
I shared the links with her, so yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, of course, the person that Rebecca brought to the show today, our special chef guest, Sean Gray. How you doing? Formerly now of Sergeantsville in Sergeantsville. So you only have to remember one piece of information, right?
That's it. Very simple.
One. Well, you have to remember it's an inn.
Inn.
They're like, Sergeantsville, was it tavern? Sergeantsville. No, inn. All you need to remember is the town where you're going and the inn. And Rebecca, being like Philly, New York, right, is like, oh, it's easy to find. It's a one-street town. So dismissive of small-town America.
I know.
What's that all about?
Yeah, there's another street that intersects it.
See?
Could be on that one.
Right?
Yeah.
Happens not to be, though, right?
No.
Now, Sergeantsville is, before we get all into it, Sergeantsville is, you said, right on the border between Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Yeah, it's maybe 4 miles from the Pennsylvania border.
And how far north-south, from the Water Gap area? I guess you can't be north.
Yeah, pretty far south. I mean, it's probably 25 miles, 30 miles. Mm-hmm. It's a nice drive.
You go up there to hang out. I mean, it's nice over there.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, to drive up the river and, go for a hike or go for a walk or whatever, it's pretty awesome up there.
Yeah, the Delaware River, by the way, for those of you who don't know, have never been to this part of the country, the Delaware River cuts through the area literally between New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And the Delaware Water Gap is so named because it's one of those weird situations where there was a river there after the last ice age retreated, however many thousands of years ago. And after the ice left, the land was like, oh, I don't feel so much pressure anymore. Yeah. So the land starts to lift up around the river, and the river cuts a hole through it. So it's literally instead of a canyon that's being cut down, it's almost like sawing through it, and the land is being lifted up. And that's the Delaware Water Gap. And it's a beautiful area, and you can go camping and, Dingman's Ferry, all the all that garbage. So it's beautiful over there. You ever go to this store in New Jersey, which went into, I think, once, because I'm always there when it's closed, the Chocolate Goat.
No.
Yeah, it's neat. Look it up. It's pretty close to you. And its whole theory is that, hey, what if a chocolate was in the shape of a goat?
Okay.
That's what they do.
All right. I'm into that.
They got like big goats, big goats.
Yeah.
Little goats,
Okay.
like white chocolate goats,
Okay.
milk chocolate goats.
Okay.
If you can guess, dark chocolate goats.
I mean, I've seen the sheep in the shape of, or butter in the shape of a sheep.
Is there a whole store?
I think it's a seasonal item.
Sheep-shaped butter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. I've never had sheep's milk butter. I bet it's good. Is not enough cream to make a good butter?
Yeah, I bet it would be like chalky or something.
Or it's just too expensive because they make all the sheep milk into cheese?
Maybe. I don't know.
What's your favorite current butter?
One of the best butters I've had that I don't think is obtainable.
Oh, okay. You can give us some unobtainium. All right.
And I've been kind of on a quest, not like actively, but I've thought about going on a quest. The butter that comes with the pancakes at McDonald's.
Oh, well, all you need is a face mask.
Very good.
Just need a face mask. Break in.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a loaded weapon.
Yeah. I don't think it melts well, but flavor wise, that's pretty top tier.
So you're saying they jack it with something?
It has to be. It's probably non-dairy. I don't know. What would be my number one butter? Always a fan of like all that nice French stuff.
Yeah. Like the barat.
Yeah. I don't know how to say it. It's like an L apostrophe.
I don't know what the hell.
Something.
Beurre de barat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Ooh la la.
Monsieur le Français, Monsieur le Belgique. But my current favorite, I think I said this in the air. I can't remember what I say because it's in one brain out the other. Is it's not even cultured, but this Beppe Occhino, who makes some of my favorite Italian cheeses, including Testum and like a bunch of like the soft mixed milk cheeses. Mm-hmm. He does an uncultured butter that's just so good. I don't know what he feeds these cows. I honestly don't, but his butter is so good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And here's what sucks. I was introduced to it by DePaulo's, one of my favorite stores, DePaulo's. If you're ever in New York City and you're like, hey, I want to go get some Italian stuff, go to DePaulo's. Yeah. Anyway, so DePaulo's like kind of, and this happens a million times. DePaulo's will popularize something, and then the people who make it will be like, I could sell this to someone bigger, like Italy. So guess who has the Beppe Occhino butter right now, even though they haven't shipped it to DePaulo's in a while? If you guessed Italy, ding, you've guessed correctly. But so I know I'm disappointed because if there's one thing I know about Italy, and I love Italy, by the way, I'm not against Italy. What I'm saying is they know how to charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not afraid of it. You know what I mean? They're not afraid of charging you. Much like my partners at Contra, not afraid of charging you. You know what I mean? But whereas like Louis DiPaolo, Louis, Sal, Marie, the whole team over at DiPaolo's are like almost actually afraid to charge you the money. If they look at what something costs and they go, oh, then they somehow, I've seen them sell stuff like at cost just because they can't believe that it's that much money.
That's cool. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, cool for us.
Yeah. I mean, keeps you coming back. Hopefully they're making money on something.
I mean, yeah, they are. I mean, they've been in business for a billion years.
They also love to gossip.
Oh yeah, they do. And nice. Sal likes to tell the occasional dirty joke, semi-dirty. Depends on who's in the room.
Right.
Yeah. But he's got that old. When Nastasia used to live here, we would go to DePaulo's all the time together.
Yeah, no, I don't like that style of like we will serve you for 10 minutes, 15 minutes while there's a line of 30.
Yeah, you shouldn't go. That's the thing. You wait in line an hour, and then when you get there, you get there.
I don't.
I mean, like, I'm okay. It's a lot different now. Since the pandemic, it's changed. It's not like take a number anymore. So you wait in a line, and typically, it's now a 45-minute Megillah instead of an hour and change, 2-hour Megillah. But I remember once I was there, and this lady was like, how much more are you going to order? I was like, till I'm done. Till I've finished ordering the things. I have a certain list of things I'm here to buy.
Yeah.
And I will leave when I'm done purchasing them.
Hey, you waited in line.
I waited in line. It's not like, here's what I'm not doing. I'm not like, because, Sean, you would hate these people, right? If you walked up and, no, I don't know. This or that. I'm like, no, I want the testum. Boom. Now I'm waiting for the testum to arrive. Then they got to do their thing. The mishigash, put it away. I'm like, okay, I need some stracciatella. Boom. And I'm not like, the rate at which I'm getting the things is the maximum rate at which the crew is willing to output said things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You're not holding them up.
no, I'm not holding them up. And plus, since I've been shopping there for like 30 years almost, right? Who would they rather piss off? Moron behind me who clearly doesn't know the deal, or me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Jerks.
Well.
I had one guy. The power move is this. If you ever go, for those of you that are going to go, here's the power move. Don't bother shopping around first. You're going to have a long time waiting. As soon as you tell them to get something, they're going to walk all the way around the counter, which is about 1,000 miles long. They're going to pick up whatever cheese they need. They're going to come back. They're going to look at it. You have to be there for 1 second to tell them how big a slice you want. They don't even ask me anymore. They just cut it. They know what I want. That's the time. When they've moved away, that's the time to go get the stuff off the shelf. You don't need to be worried about getting the stuff off the shelf beforehand. Except one knucklehead, I did that, and he's like, yo, he thought I just walked right up to the counter. And he's like, there's a line here. And I was like, oh. I was like, I've been here for an hour and a half. I was here before you showed up. And he's like, hey, you don't have to get mad about it. I'm like, hey, I didn't start this. I didn't speak. I didn't speak to you. Yeah. Like, I didn't open my mouth. I'm here buying cheese. You said something. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh, you know what I mean? I hate people like that so much. You know what I mean? That's why I need to get out of New York, man.
Yeah, dude. You have to.
Because it's like you can't hear my knuckles rubbing together, but this is New York. Anyway, so many years at Co. Oh, we didn't even. We got to shoot the breeze first. We got to shoot the breeze. All right. Any of you guys have anything from anyone last week, cooking related?
I do. I went to my first omakase experience, and it was ever, and it was phenomenal.
Oh, nice.
Really delicious. One of the best meals I've had in a couple of years.
You want to call out the restaurant?
Sushi Ryusei. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but I'm 39.
Well, you make up for it with
second.
You make up for it with your French pronunciation.
Fair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you like about it?
I just love, I don't know, the pacing of everything was great. Just trying all these great, delicious fish. Had my first Japanese firefly squid, which were really delicious.
Talk to me about firefly squid. I don't think I've had one.
Little tiny things. I think they were just like quickly blanched.
Are they better than mini octopuses? Who are cute but not really delicious?
I don't know that I haven't had mini octopus.
You've had the mini octopus, right?
I like the squid.
Yeah.
Squid is good.
But can we agree that the mini octopus is just a visual thing and that they're not better than full-size octopus?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a bunch of different cuts of fish that I hadn't had before. I obviously can't remember the names. It was just like really engrossed in the moment and everything. But it was, really delicious.
So the squid were blanched, marinated at all? Rice, no rice?
No rice. Some grated ginger on top, and that was basically it. Just really simple and straightforward, and it was really,
So I'm guessing that these fireflies, mini ones, are a zero iodine situation. You're not getting like that some of the bigger squid get. I thought you hate that.
Yeah.
Someone brings you a big ring of squid, and you're like, it's going to taste like pee.
Yep.
I guess you can soak the pee out of them, but then they have no flavor whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right?
The little ones are great, man.
Yeah.
Super quick, high heat.
Yeah?
That's it.
What are your thoughts on, thinking of high heat with seafood animals? Like, my favorite is like super high heat razor clams.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Love those things.
100%. That's how we did. Yeah. Always cooked razor clams like that. Echo was like bowl, oil, right on the plancha for 5 seconds and then off.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what I hate about razors, though? I hate sand so much. You know, and so, you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I mean, that's like all that clam business. I mean, the sand. I don't know. Sand makes it so hard. Like you have the only way to know it's absolutely gone is to eat it.
Yeah. Right.
It's like
right.
a huge
And purging razors is a pain. What about with razors? The thing about razors is when you go to buy them. For those of you that never bought razor clams, what are you doing? Go out and buy some razor clams.
Yeah.
Second thing is that at least when I buy them, they're in a bundle. They're in like a bundle with like 2 sets of rubber bands around them, and they put the bundle on ice, and they're all sticking their foot-ish thing out of one side like a panting dog. And what you need to do is you walk up and you poke it, and if they don't go back in, then they're not going to probably last until the evening when you need to cook them, right? So you want them to go back in a little bit. But if they die, you know, right before you're going to cook them, fine, right?
I think so.
Yeah, but you want them to be a little bit lively when you pick them up.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, but then the question is getting the sand out and whether or not anything you do is actually effective, or whether it's how they were caught and whether they were, you know, what they do with it. I don't really know. I don't really know whether anything I'm doing is effective or not. But they're the sweetest clam.
They are.
For me.
Very good. Yeah, we'd always like peel them out and then just give them like a nice active rinse, you know, and then trim off the belly and then just sear just like, you know, the clam part of it.
And then you put it back onto the half shell or no?
I wouldn't, but people do. I mean, those shells are also like, it's kind of like eating out of a fluorescent light tube in a weird way.
They'll cut the hell out of you.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, I'm a fan of the shellfish without shell.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, and Stas, I'd like you to weigh in on this too. What about when you get a seafood pasta and it's just a giant pile of freaking shells in the pasta? Stas first. What do you think?
Not great.
Right? It's not great. It's somehow it's the symbol of I bought fresh shellfish. Instead of trusting the person to have bought fresh shellfish and not have those stinking shells. I mean, look, there is a certain thing about a broth occasionally picking up a clamshell and go and sucking out of the shell, but most of the time they're just in my freaking way. Yeah, I agree with you, Stas. What do you think, Sean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's like you can't really put your back into it. You know, now that there's shells in the way, you got to kind of like watch your teeth. You know, like I like, you know, to really knuckle down with a bowl, you know, and if there's all of this inedible material, it's like, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's Kobayashi unfriendly.
Yeah, it'd be like whole cinnamon sticks in a salad.
Yeah.
If you get linguine and clams, though, like the move is just like get all the clams out of those shells and then get to work on the dish. You know, then eat.
Yeah, but like.
And then front load the work.
Okay.
Which is annoying.
I appreciate, yeah, right. But you know who could have done that work? The folks in the kitchen.
Yeah, like I don't work here.
I agree.
Hey, how about this? And I think it is, if it's a matter of trust, as Billy Joel would say, right? Then why don't you just give me a bowl full of shells? Be like, here you go. And then as soon as like you're done, you dump the bowl in the trash in front of them so they know that you're not reusing the shells. You know what I mean? If really what it is they don't trust you to use. I mean, first of all, people, I understand this, that there are plenty of people who don't eat a lot of, like, you know, shellfish, these kinds of things. And maybe they wouldn't know if you gave them a canned or a frozen shelled version. But, I mean, like, it's just establish this trust with your folks. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's going to be, you know who is the opposite of all of us is my stepfather, Gerard. My stepfather, Gerard, if you could throw a couple of extra shells in for him to suck on and some chicken bones, you're like, hey, Gerard, it's not even a chicken dish. He's like, I don't care. Just throw some chicken bones into it. So he's the opposite. For everyone like all of us, there's 1/5. There's one. For every 5 of us, there's one Gerard. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, Jack, what do you got this week? Anything?
I had a great meal at this place called Horses that in LA had some crazy controversy.
Wait, the Horses what?
Maybe a year ago or so. Horses is the name of the restaurant. It was a good restaurant. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is sort of related. It's like a hospitality pet peeve. I oftentimes like I'll sit at the bar and eat, and I am definitely a dealer's choice kind of guy. I like talking to the bartender and being like, I don't know, man, what's the best stuff here? Like, yes. And I do that. He picks a great selection of dishes, and he's like, I just have to say thank you. And I'm like, for what? And he goes, you don't know how many times people come to the bar and they're like, what do you like? I'd love to do dealer's choice. And then I tell them and they go, well, I think I'll have the burger.
Yeah. All right. You know, it's really weird because like some bartenders get bent when you ask them, and some love it. I think it really depends on where it's coming from your perspective as where they see the question coming from. If the question is, which is how you would always say it, I'm coming here to like experience this restaurant. I am up for anything. Like, what's the best experience of this restaurant? What are you excited about right now? Anyone worth spit should be like, I got you. You know what I mean? And then it's a question of whether you take their advice or not. You know what I mean? Whereas, whatever. I think there's trust the other way. A lot of times the server, the bartender is not going to trust the guest either. Right? So like, they're like, this person's a chode, which is, I believe, a family-friendly word. I believe we're okay with it. We'll find out. So I'm gonna,
a bunch of toads made the children that listen.
Yeah. Oh, so gross. So like, I'm gonna give these this moron the most basic blah 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 blah. Or what everyone's afraid of. I'm just going to jack them with the most expensive thing on the menu because it looks like a finance bro. But I don't think that's how the majority of servers are.
Trust.
Yeah. Trust,
man.
Yeah.
You know?
What about you, Quinny Quinn? What you got?
I got a lot of things because I wasn't here last week, so I had a bit of a interesting week. Been a rough week, but last Monday, my local truffle connect is like, "Hey, I've got a bunch of truffles you've been waiting for." So I'm like, screw it. So we got those last Wednesday, and we've been cooking with them all week. Made some pretty good dishes.
Well, hold on. Before we go any further, when you say local truffle connect, do you mean a person who is local to you but gets truffles from Europe, or do you mean someone who's sourcing like West Coast temperate rainforest style truffles?
So this is on the mainland, so not like hyper local, but pretty close. And it is both the black Pacific Northwest type that's associated with like Oregon, and then there is also cultivated Italian white truffles.
Now, how are the cultivated Italian white truffles?
Really good. I mean, I think, because they're way fresher than like any imported truffle would probably be.
Well, I don't know about any. It's all a matter of money, Quinn.
Well,
you put the thing on a plane.
Then I can source.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Now, here's the thing. Like, this is like what I'm hearing from you. Definitely worth buying. Right, so that's the first thing. Is it worth buying at all? What about the Oregon Black? Sometimes I've did a little bit of work with the Oregon ones when I went out when Judy Ann Wu brought us out there to do it. And I think we even had them on the radio show years ago, back when I was going to train my dog to be a truffle dog, which, by the way, he was good at.
Really?
Oh yeah, so good. You know how you train him? I have a book I can email to the Patreon. Somewhere I got to find it, but I have a book on how to train your dog to do truffles because his name's out of my head, but the truffle expert from Oregon who we were going out to visit, he's like, there's truffles everywhere. It's just a question of whether they taste good, but they're everywhere. And you can train dogs to get them. And because remember this whole, they're not Basidiomyces, they're Ascomyces, and then they live underground and they make that stink so that they can get found and then spread around, right? So what you do is you get, if you can get high grade stuff or real, it's even better, but you just buy BS truffle oil and you like condition the dog to like, he's like, boop, and then you put it down, you choose a command for searching, and then when they go to it, because the smell is intense, you give them a treat. And then you go further and you go further and you're further. So I got to the point where I could go into a 2-acre field, take a Q-tip with a little bit of truffle oil on it, put the Q-tip anywhere in the field, bring the dog back to the field, tell him to go, and he would go right to it.
No way.
Yeah. But, I don't know what's under the ground there, so I can't train to what, because it was Connecticut. I couldn't train to what was there in Connecticut. But anyone who's listening who knows that there are some sort of truffaloid, it's not complicated. As long as your dog has a good nose, it's not complicated to train a dog to look for truffles. Crazy. So anyway, what I'm hearing from you is that it's worthwhile, which I like, Quinn. But what I've always wanted to do, and I've never done it, is like, so I've said this on the air a million times, but I'll say it again because, we've been on the show a million years, so I can say it again. So I used to get fresh sea urchin out of the water in Maine, right? And it was a real rocky area, and so they were real good. You know what I mean? As long as they weren't literally feeding on the body of a dead seal, which I have seen. Like, we're like, oh my God, look at all those urchins. Why is it in that ship? Oh! We didn't get those, right? But like, if you're getting them, below, they're out always obviously below high tide, but you go down on the rocks, you get them straight out of the water. Take a pair of scissors, clack, 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 bat, 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 spoon it, eat it, bam, delicious, candy of the ocean, right? Now, the ones that I get from California are delicious, right? But I'm like, the Maine ones are just as good. But I'm like, how do I know? How the hell do I know? Because to Quinn's point, the ones from California have been dredged up, handled by 20 people, put on an airplane, sent over, given to the supplier, and then I get it. You know what I mean? Or even like more, like actually taken out of the shell and like put on those trays and like overwrapped and all that and sent to me. So if those ones are that good after all of that, you know, I hate to say it, abuse. And I've never really, does anyone go buy East Coast uni if they could get the West Coast one? So if I've always wanted to just rip 2 out of the water, fly into the middle of the country, meet halfway, and do a same time test. You know what I mean? To see whose eggs reign supreme, whose gonads. They're not really whose gonad sacks reign supreme.
I like the Pepsi challenge. It's good.
Yeah, but I can't do it. So we will want to do the same thing with Quinn, right? Is take like this, Canadian cultivated white Italian truffle, and then like get a cruise ship in the middle of the Atlantic, boop boop boop, get them, fly helicopter onto. It would have to be Nathan Myhrvold's yacht, like helicopter onto it. Mm-hmm. You know, I sift through the patent trolling and then taste them right there. That's the midway point. But anyway, I don't know. Good point. So, but you like the white a lot better than the Oregon black. Oregon blacks sometimes they lose a lot as soon as you heat them, right? So they have a really good aroma, but the aroma changes a lot. So for instance, if you uncap them, like a lot of the really interesting aromas kind of fly away. And so like even just shaved, if they're not contained, you almost want to do like miso soup bowl situation where like you bring it to someone and like lift it and let them smell it, because like some of that stuff's so fugitive. But how did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I actually found, the black truffles a little milder, and again, a lot of the times we were doing like a little combo of each. And I thought the combo was very good as well. I felt like the black was like a little more of a sort of not basic, but like an earthy, mushroomy like base note, and then the white truffle was like a little more high aromatic, aroma.
When you said combo, I was thinking of cheese-filled combos. Combos really cheeses your hunger away, which is, when they invented those when I was a kid, I was like, they put cheese in a pretzel?
Crazy.
And my grandma was like, that's not really cheese. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? But they're good, though. I mean, they're not pretzels or cheese, really. They are cheese-filled combos. Do you like them?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'm team combo.
Yeah.
What is it, the pizza flavor? That one?
Yeah.
Not sure what makes it pizza flavor, but
it's the dust.
Oh, the pizza dust.
That's that dust that they put all over it. Wiley was at my house. What day of the week is it? He was at my house, and he was like, I was doing grilled cheeses again because my nephew Orson, one of the only things he likes is grilled cheese. So he doesn't actually usually eat in my house when he comes over because they make him food for it, but he likes grilled cheese. So it was his birthday, so I did grilled cheese. But of course, I did a million different grilled cheeses. So I was going to do like quote unquote Italian one, and Wiley was like, you didn't put Italian spice on it? I'm like, no. I was like, he's like, you got oregano? I was like, I got this fancy Indio oregano from Rancho Gordo. He's like, okay, fine. He's like, you got dried basil? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got dried garlic? I'm like, no, I don't have garlic powder. Well, no. And he's like, you need garlic powder. I'm like, I've got granulated garlic because I had done some everything bagel. He's like, Nyeh. So I put that in, and then he's like, do you have dried parsley? I'm like, no, I don't have dried parsley. He's like, well, then, sorry.
Yeah.
You fail.
No love.
No love. He's very bop. Yeah,
it's good.
I guess because he has a pizza joint, which brought it up. I'm sure he knows how they make pizza dust.
Yeah. I always have dried oregano and dried parsley on hand.
Really?
Yeah, not like here, but yeah, huge on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you tried the Rancho Gordo India, the oregano Indio?
I've seen it on the website.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same as have you ever tried the... I don't keep a lot of dried leaves around other than bay. But I'm not saying I hate on them. I just don't keep them around.
We make them. Like for me in the restaurant, like I've almost always preferred the use of dried herb to fresh herb.
Really?
As insane as that might be to say, like we would take, nice herbs and then just lay them up in a Excalibur with the door off for a few hours so it can vent the steam.
Uh-huh.
And then let them go overnight, and they stay, like this green, like super, super green, and then just pass it through a sieve, and then use that dried herb for everything.
And so, what is it you don't like? You don't like the biting greenness, or do you not like when they get mutilated and they're not cut accurately, and you get mad and you look at it and you're
Both.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, both. Like fresh herbs go bad.
Yeah.
They don't get handled well, potentially. You know, I like to use a combo of the two. You know, like some fresh, some dry, so you have like layers of.
How much do you love when the herbs come and they look like they used the back of the knife to cut them?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Herbs cut with a hammer.
Yeah, just
halfway
chop
to
it up
pesto.
with a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice, like a little mulching action.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, remember they used to sell those quote unquote herb choppers, which are literally just.
This guy?
Oh, those are funny. But no, I meant they used to have ones that like they look almost like a Jack in the Box, and it's got like these. It's almost like an ice crusher for herbs. They don't do squat. It just doesn't. It's just not an effective way of doing anything other than making yourself angry. Although I was having an argument. So I'm old enough. I don't remember when it happened, but there was a garlic press backlash. So in the early 90s, everyone was like, yo, go buy a garlic press. Like in like 89 through like 97, everyone was like, you know where you need to go? You need to go buy a garlic press.
This guy?
Yeah. Sean's making the hand motion. Yeah. But like not the crappy sheet metal one that bends and makes you angry. Xylus, I think, made a cast one that was like either zinc or aluminum or whatever, but I think it was zinc. Anyway, cast. And it was like a little truck. It was like it was like this little thing. And you go, poof, and you put the garlic in, and the shoe comes down, and blammo, right out, and it comes. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, they're for idiots. It makes you a bad cook. You're a bad person. And like, I was like, what? I can't use the garlic press anymore. Like, and at the time I was so young still that I was like, I don't want the way people feel about me if they see me use a garlic press. You know what I mean? And so like, I don't even have one anymore. But I hate chopping garlic. I like viciously hate it. And remember, Ann Burrell used to go on Iron Chef with, Mark Ladner and be like, you don't need anything. You can just use the knife and whackety, backety, backety. And like, look how fine of a, but I hate doing it. Yeah. I hate how sticky it is. I detest it. Right? Wiley comes over. I'm having this conversation with him on Sunday. He's like, why don't you just use a microplane? He's like, because I'm not going to sit here with a microplane and microplane freaking 10 cloves of garlic. I'm just not going to do it. You know what I mean? Why can't I have my old... And I bought this weird one, speaking of rockers, which put it in my head. They now make one that looks like a sieve, but it's stiffer, and you're supposed to rock it back and forth to do the same thing that my 1990s Xylus garlic press did, but in a way that somehow doesn't make me feel like I'm a jerk in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go back and buy one of those things, because the hell with it. I can crush my garlic any damn way I choose. And that's it. Sorry. But that's how I feel about it. Does anyone else remember when you were told you shouldn't use those things?
I remember my parents having one.
Yeah, and then they disappeared because there was a cool kids don't use it situation.
Yeah.
Those cool kids are probably all dead now.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. So,
smelling like garlic.
Yeah, they're dead. I'll tell you something else. Like, if they're not dead, they're culinarily dead. They're not influencers anymore. I bet you could show an influencer one of these things and they'd be like, oh my God. They take a picture of themselves with it and that's it. 8 million views. They're going to come back. Xylus should pay us.
Put cherry tomatoes through it after.
Well, you know what the thing about it is that, as everyone knows, the skins don't go through those things. So there's always that little, not the paper. I don't want to hear anything from people being like, paper, you can take the paper. No, I'm talking about the paper. I'm talking about there is a skin on the outside of the garlic that always ends up in the thing. All right. Enough on garlic. I feel there's a whole bunch of people that can't have garlic. Sorry for you folks. Garlic is delicious. You know who doesn't love a lot of garlic? My wife. I moderate my garlic. So I go ape crap on my onions. Cooked onions.
Nice.
Ape crap. And I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. If the only reason you own the Induction Freak, whatever it's called, Control Freak Induction, or if like one of those old temperature controlled, I use like the old oil filled or water filled, like not wearing, I forget the name of it, but they're like these like super, they're almost like, the AccuSteam griddles. They're like that for home. They're pretty accurate at the low end. If you only own that to do onions so that you can just walk away from your onions and let them go for an hour or two, it's been worth it.
Yeah.
It's been worth it. Yeah, because I do one of my grilled cheeses, Gruyere.
Classic combo.
Onions.
Yeah.
Born together. Yeah. All right. So Stas, you didn't weigh in on any food related garbage from the week. You got anything?
I would say to John for the omakase stuff, there's this amazing omakase on LaGuardia north of Houston. And it's like $85, $95, and it's incredible. And nobody knows about it.
Amazing. Thank you, Nastasia. Looking that up right now.
You know what's nice?
You're welcome.
Nastasia being very generous now that she doesn't care if that space gets blowed up. I'm just messing with you, Nastasia. She's like, I don't live in New York anymore. Ruin it. That's like there was a place I think they're still open, but there was a sushi place that like all of the students who didn't have any money used to go to on Thompson or Sullivan, called Tomoe. Mm-hmm. And it was no reservation, like decent quality, cheap, and there'd always be a line out the door. So anytime someone mentioned Tomoe and was going to make the line longer, like, do it.
Yeah, shut up.
Shut up.
Be cool.
Yeah. You're a Tomoe fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See what I mean? And so I'm talking like this was, I went like in the 90s. You know what I mean? So it's been around I think a long time. But anytime someone mentioned it, zip.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. On the other hand, I mean, they didn't need the business. They're slammed. You know what I mean? Like, it is a little mean to love a place that's not slammed and then not talk about it so they don't get slammed. Because I don't know if you know this, the business wants to be slammed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's best case scenario.
Yeah. It's hard to maintain, though, when you get slammed. Anyway, all right. So, did I do anything cooking? Oh, well, I talked about it. I did who's your favorite fake broth?
Like, what do you mean? Like in the,
like you
the
need to do
refrigerated aisle?
Yeah.
Is Pacific Foods an answer?
They make a good one?
I think so. I usually go vegetable, I usually go vegetable broth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just to keep it...
Just to give me a little base layer, if I'm cooking something at home, which usually almost never requires broth.
I've been using this Better Than bouillon, their fake beef for like soups. And I like their fake beef better than their fake chicken. I also have their veg. It's not fake veg, it's real veg. It would be amazing if it was...
Fake veg.
Actually meat, vegetable broth. Just wait. It'll happen.
Like it tastes just like vegetables.
It's just like vegetables.
100% beef.
All dead animals. You know what I mean? That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Anyway. All right. So, So there's a question here. Some of these questions, I think you would have something to. Well, we'll talk about this. So talk to me about Sergeantsville Inn, your current place. So for those you don't, for the people you don't know. Co, for how many millions of years were you at Co?
A lot of them. Some people say 15 years.
Okay. And for those that don't know, Co was the tasting menu portion of the Momofuku Empire here. And by the way, I'm sure where Rebecca,
yes,
the boondoggler from, because everyone was part of the evil empire at one point or not.
No
you know
choice.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. So Co was for the quick history. So Chang opens Noodle Bar. No one knew it was going to be a huge success. Huge success. Opened Som. Som was supposed to be a fast casual, Bosom burrito smash up. And then that didn't work. So he's like, to hell with it. So he made a chef's menu. Then that place, became like the darling of like I don't even know what you call that level of eating.
I don't know. Yeah.
New, but it's like bistro style atmosphere, Chang food. Right? Or I don't know how to describe it. It's not like, I know that they got 3 stars from the New York Times, but it wasn't that vibe. It was more like whatever. Anyway. And then Co was meant to be the Michelin star machine tasting menu, like full on, let's see what you got kind of a restaurant. Would you say it's accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Very like, I know it wasn't meant to be. The idea was that it was not going to be exclusive,
Okay.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's, I think from where it started, it was a fair price. It was a fair reservation system. Like there was no love
I
given.
remember that.
Like no love given to anyone, and this is pre, any booking like app type. Like people used to come in with, like their like Netscape email printout of like their reservation confirmation and, hand it to whoever's working the station. And you're like, okay.
Oh, that's why I never went. And part of the, I just went for friends and family. It's the only time I ever went. So part of the, I mean, I think there was a part of that whole crew though that like loved that. You know what I mean? It's not that they wanted it to be fair and somehow in some bizarre way egalitarian even at that level. But on the other hand, they were also like, nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or no? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah. And so it turns out also from while you were at Co, my current head bartender, Theo,
my favorite,
was and so like I'm like, yo, what should I ask Sean about? And he's like, I don't know, like I have a lot of things, but he might not want to talk about them, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, like
just
what?
like I don't know, but I've been told before we get into like, give me a shot clock because we got to talk about your current restaurant. But I got into a huge argument at the bar with him last night.
Okay.
Because he was like, yo, Sean's cold fried chicken is delicious. I'm like, it may be. I was like, but I'm sure that Sean's hot fried chicken, this might be the best that a cold fried chicken can be, but I am sure that his hot fried chicken is even better than it is when it is cold.
Yeah. It's been taken a very hilarious amount of time to get to that point. And I had a friend come out last week that had probably had the cold fried chicken at the bar like 1,000 times, and he comes out to Sergeantsville and has it, hot. And he's just like, I cannot believe it could have been this all of those times. He's kind of like, he's very upset,
Yeah, right. Because,
and I'm like, it's way easier to make too. I'm like, like way easier.
All right, so you got to. Are you allowed to tell us what the old? Because like I was like, yo, Theo, how many times? He's like, we fried it 5 times. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
it's like crazy.
Yeah.
So, are you willing to talk about it?
Yeah,
or no?
sure.
All right, so what's the? Because I'm a fried chicken person. So other than what, like out in the wild, what's your favorite kind of fried chicken?
Wow, in the wild, what I always loved was that kind of like chain restaurant like flake they get like a Fridays or
right, because they're using the same batter dip probably. They're probably doing it and then freezing it Cisco style, but they're all sourcing a batter mix.
But there's all that like kind of like shake on it, where like I love that effect of fried chicken, like almost like cornflake in a weird way.
I know what you mean, because they it's like got like little blebs in the dip and they go in already.
I love that. I mean, the one that we're doing, it's like that batter style, so it's super super thin.
So like wet on wet, wet on dry.
So the first fry is just dry.
Well, chicken arrives.
Chicken's in the building.
All right, chicken's in the building. First of all, how are you getting? You getting it pre-broken? You're breaking it?
Generally, we'll get legs and then split them.
Because I told you, the kind of legs with the back attached, so it's like 2 legs.
Hopefully not.
Okay. So I had someone I was talking to because I was asking them how Willie Mays, because Willie Mays Scotch House makes great chicken. It's maybe not the style of chicken that everybody loves, but it is consistently good chicken, and they are wet on wet. And to me, like, in other words, right out of like wet, not dry, into a wet batter, into the fryer. So I'm sure their fry oil lasts forever because they're not contaminating with like a lot of like sinking flour. But I don't know if that's why they do it. It's just the way they've always done it. But I can't figure out how, because to me, whenever I've tried wet on wet systems, it's a crapshoot about adhesion. You know what I mean? Like either it's too thick and goopy.
And they just fry it once?
Yep. Or you eat it right away when it's piping hot.
Okay.
Yeah. And so his theory, the guy I was talking to, because Willie Mays won't tell you, there are some people who have videotaped them online. So in fact, you can see that they're doing wet on wet. It's just they won't tell you any of the actual information, right? But you can see that this is what's actually happening.
Okay.
All right. But it's American style, not Japanese, not double fried, not blah, blah, blah. So, his theory is that they're using the protein drip. So they're buying the stuff pre-busted. And his theory is they're using the protein drip from the meat in the cart. So for those of you who don't know, chicken comes usually in that weird brown or white sometimes, like waxy cardboard in a bag in a thing. He says they just take it out of the bag and dump it in with the brine, and the protein drip is what's giving them the adhesion.
I don't know why that sounds so scary.
It does, but I don't know if that's true or not, but that's his theory. So anyway, okay, so chicken's in the building. Let's just talk about the legs for now. So you got the legs.
Yeah,
it's two legs. They're pointing in the opposite direction, or they're separate. The back's already been whopped out of them.
Yeah, the back's gone.
All right.
I like to call those the pants, the chicken pants.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
So yeah, the chicken's in. It's here, gets split. So I make a brine that has water, salt, soy, and we used to buy this creamy koji product, which is made when sold through New York Mutual, and I have not found it anywhere outside of New York Mutual.
They don't carry it anymore? They
do.
They don't deliver to you?
They deliver. I got to set up the account, and I'm like, am I really going to set up an account?
They're also the ones that carry the ashiri and and I think the ayu fish sauce, right?
They have all the cool stuff.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what I'm doing now is making my own like creamy koji, but all of that goes in the brine. So it's kind of this like, I'm sure Theo can easily give you that recipe if he hasn't already. So that lives overnight. And then, so it's interesting what you're saying about the wet versus dry and this kind of stuff. So we used to brine it and then would take it out, dry it, like lay it up then for another like 10 hours, whatever.
Right, to tack up.
Yeah. So I'm out of that game now. Now I'm kind of using like, it's like a much faster system.
So I think just to see what you think of this. So I'm thinking that because I do the tack up, right? But what I'm doing is single fry. I think as soon as you're going to multiply fry, the tack up's not as important as long as you get decent adhesion from the get. Right. So it was always told that was an adhesion trick, but I think it's actually more of a crispiness trick because you're getting some of the moisture off of the top of the skin before you fry. And I do brine. By the way, how salty would you say your brine is? Like ocean comparative, more or less?
Way less.
Okay, so like almost like just a light brine. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't no acid in any of that, right? So it doesn't make the meat mushy.
No.
I don't like mushy.
No.
Anyway,
No.
So so I would do brine. Tack, dry off on a rack.
Mm-hmm.
Dry, wet, dry.
Okay.
Dry, wet, dry, fry, which is kind of an old man's way to do it, but I don't know if you can tell, old man. So, all right. So now you stop doing it because with whatever technique you're about to tell me now, unnecessary, the drying it down, getting the outside tacky.
Yeah. So like so we used to fry this so many times and it was kind of like, we were kind of like banking that by the time that final fry is hit, the chicken is now cooked.
Right. But so you weren't doing it for the skin. You're just like doing it the same way that like in tandoor, in out, so that the outside and the inside get done at the same time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing now is I'm cooking the chicken like in a bag.
I love cooking in the bag because then you don't have to freaking worry about it.
Exactly.
It's done.
Don't tell Theo that we do that now.
Do you flash it hot out of the bag? I used to flash it hot, so I would cut it out of the bag hot and then let it flash so that I would get good adhesion.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, because a lot of people who claim about adhesion problems when they do bags, a lot of people told me, can't make it. I was like flash if you're having adhesion problems, but if you're not,
I'm not. I mean, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna try that. Because we're doing it now, like where, then when you take it out and now you have like, now you're like sifting through chicken stock. That's like, trash chicken stock. Yeah, it's like purple.
It's hard to use.
So,
is there a way to make that stuff workable?
I've tried, and like I'm sure you could put it into like a stock pot situation with like a whole lot of other water and probably fresh meat.
Yeah,
but it's like, you're basically, at least in the brine, it's like now you're trying to make a sauce that has like a lot of salt in it.
Right.
Has a lot of like shit you wouldn't want or things you wouldn't want getting pulled out, coming out of the animal.
Right.
When I reduced it, it just looks like pond scum, and it's then like this weird clear kind of color. I'm like, oh, it's kind of gross.
I wonder whether it could be used to reinforce like the base of a different stock you were making.
Right, like just use the jelly.
Yeah, if it was going to go right, like if you were going to do something else. And so you didn't have to look at it. You know what I mean? If you were going to do a clarification later, or if it was going to be in a cream sauce or some crap. I don't know. But it is a perennial question is you have this stuff,
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not.
I bet you could combine it with like a bunch of salt and koji and let it like just break down.
Into what? Just
Some
like
sort of, not garum, but like a savory koji sauce.
I don't know, man. Now you're beyond the stuff that I do. I don't know. I don't know. Get Rich. Ask Rich. Put the question into Rich and see what he says. All right. So you have the chicken. You cook it. Do you do a different temp leg? Or you only do leg? So what do you do? Like 65?
Yeah, I forget what it comes out to be. Maybe 68, like a little bit hotter.
Yeah. It's for less time.
Yeah, it's 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right.
Just taking the chill off.
And the bone's in or the bone's out?
In.
Okay, so at 68, let's say it's 68. At 68, you don't have persistent pink on the bone because it's fast enough that the pink goes away. Ding, ding, because that's what people hate.
Yep.
With low temp chicken, I always do boneless, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to get persistent pinking.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a good band, but it's bad with chicken. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So that was the goal. It was like, all right, how to get away from this like visual, and it's one thing when you're like a restaurant in the city and people are coming in and they're like, oh, this is like quality chicken. I'm sure it's fine, but it's different. It's like, okay, we need to like really ensure that this is like pretty bulletproof. So from cold, the first fry is just dry. And that's a mix of, now it's a mix of flour and cornstarch.
Okay. So it's flour, cornstarch. I'm sure some seasoning crap, which we don't need to
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So just the seasonings from the brine only.
Yep.
And it's not dried off, so it's still some moisture.
Yep.
And so you get good adhesion of just its fundamental flour coat into the first fry.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is the first fry like super fast flash, or is that one of the slower, longer fries?
They're all pretty quick. They're all, I would say, it depends. Like doing it with the fryer now is a lot easier. We used to do it with like a rondo on the stove. So
to hell with that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the first fry is a little bit of a lower temp, and it's quick. It's like 2.5, 3 minutes just to like lock it in, just to like set it up, get it out, get it on a rack, and just let it chill.
But where's your fryer set? If you don't want to tell me, you don't have to tell me. Where's your fryer set?
What temp?
Yeah.
I would say 330 is probably optimal.
All right. So like fairly low, like where you would do to traditionally fry something for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. All right.
So that's that. I mean, and then, I would go through and kind of do everything on the first stage, and then and then you make that batter. We kind of had a system set up where the batter would be broken down to the ratios of, like a beer, like a can of beer.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
So it was like, it's like
comes in a can. You write the recipe for cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that. I mean, make this batter and it's super thick.
It was a beer can batter? It was beer batter?
Yeah, there's beer, vodka, flour, and cornstarch. We used to do rice flour.
For crunch?
Back in the day. Just because, I don't know, it was like, yeah, let's do like X% rice, this percent corn, this percent that. And it was
both corn and rice, like, unless you keep mixing them up, they fall
settle.
out. Yeah.
So we had a solution for that too. So that so then you have like your pint that's like already, it would just tear it up.
Yeah.
And then you just mix the 1X batch. It's enough to do the 24 pieces you have in front of you. And then on the second fry, you get a new mixing bowl and just do it again. That way it's, always the same.
Would the beer have to be cold or you don't care?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the theory I have you didn't add any sort of baking powder or baking soda?
Nope.
Okay. Because the theory on that I've heard from the same guy I was talking to about Willie Mays is that you have to add that because if there's not air bubbles being formed in the thicker batters, then the bubbles will form between the skin and the batter and blow them off. So if you create kind of a porosity, you can stop blow off. That's what he said. That's why a lot of times they'll want to keep the batters cold, so that you're not functionalizing or whatever the non-stupid word is for making the thing start giving off gas before you want it to.
Interesting.
I mean, not necessarily, because I think some people say it's a gluten thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, so you do it. So it comes out. How long does it have to sit? Does it have to get cold off the first fry, or is it just a couple minutes?
It doesn't have to, but it helps. If it's hot and then you're going into the batter hot, I definitely notice a bit of a difference. The first flour fry, when you're looking at it, it's like, I don't know. It's like, is there any flour on there still? You know,
right.
But it's like there is.
And it's more quote unquote sticky.
Yeah, and then that first fry that's wet.
And by the way, the batter we're talking about, like crepe,
it's thin,
thinner than crepe. Nothing's thinner than crepe batter.
I haven't made crepes in a while.
What's something people would know for thickness?
If there was like a not heavy cream, not half and half. If there was something that was like a 2x whole milk, that's like where we would be. Like,
okay, so
what is it, 8% whole milk? If they make that somewhere,
real thin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that first, wet batter, everything just explodes off the piece. And and again, you pull it up and you're like, man, there's only it's like just a very little bit of batter on here, But when you get to that second one, you're like, oh, but it looks like the picture. And then the third one is like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
And it's the same batter each time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. And how many do you do pre-shift, and how many do you do service? What's the pickup?
The pickup.
Oh, because it's cold. Well, when you're doing it hot, for real.
The hot one's easy. It's just like, hey, drop it back in for 2 minutes. That's it.
All right.
But when we did it cold, it was kind of wild, because we would glaze it. And
when does the glaze happen?
Well, in the cold one, you would finish the last stage of frying, and then let this thing rest until it's at least room temperature or below. Me personally, everyone that's worked at this restaurant has the best way to do this, of course.
Yeah, Theo says he has his own way.
His is he's up there. Like, he's got it. His is better than mine, for sure.
Theo's like, I only have to fry it 3 days.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. He's got some.
He doesn't talk like that. He doesn't sound like a criminal. Anyway.
So for me, I would glaze it when it's at that room temperature and then straight in the fridge. The thing that we figured out was it doesn't matter what temperature it is. I think it's the glaze has to be hotter than the chicken is. And as long as what you're putting on top of the thing is hotter than what's under it, when you put it in the fridge, the hotter thing is going to evaporate first.
Huh.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I have to taste the difference to see what's going on.
I was not a believer, and this other kid that worked with us, he's like, hey, I've been working on this a lot. I want you to see this. He's like, I think it's better. And he's telling me this process. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. And it was like, we had the chicken on the tray. It's not glazed yet. It's dead cold. Like, it's been in the fridge now for 6 hours. He's got the combi oven going in the back at Mach 3. It's like I'm like, it's 620 degrees. I'm like, and he puts this chicken in for 30 seconds. 30 seconds, pulls it out. The glaze is there in, Bain Marie, whatever. And it's like dip.
To me, this makes sense, because no moisture is migrating from the chicken.
Right.
It's just moisture flashing off from the hot section of where the skin is already low moisture, so it's flashing crap off the glaze.
So he's like dipsing. I mean, it's like two of us like, like real quick. And this chicken is like, 600 odd degrees. And then it's back in this combi for another 30 seconds.
Just a flash.
And I'm like, and then it's like the timer goes off. It's like, get out of the way. And it's like right back in the fridge. And you put the tray in the fridge and it's like, like all the steam is coming off,
Destroying everything else in the fridge.
But then 5 minutes later, you're like, wow, this is insane. Mm-hmm. And it's super crispy, completely caramelized, dead cold.
Well, I have to say, if we've said nothing else this episode, I don't think we've ever had this in-depth. I think some people are going to go out and try this. Some points that we haven't given out, and it's not possible. The thinness of the batter that you use is going to be very dependent on your ratio of flour to starch, because it doesn't take that much liquid to make a very thin batter with starch or, with any form of starch versus flour. So a lot's going to depend on that. So you guys are going to have to experiment. Get back to us. People have to learn some stuff for themselves a little bit.
Yeah, trial and error, man.
Oh, man, we only have 2 minutes. So talk to me about, what's it like cooking in from the 1700s?
It's awesome. It's awesome. The people are great. Space is great. It's like you look out the window and there's tractors driving by, stuff like that. Yeah, it's nuts.
But is it hard to have a modern kitchen in an old building, or is it just like?
It's challenging, but it's kind of challenging in that East Village kind of way, where you have this quirky little space, and it's like, well, hey, that's where that goes, and that's where that is, and it's been there for a long time.
Yeah. All right. So listen, we're going to talk more. We have a minute and a half, but the place is Sergeantsville Inn in Sergeantsville on the border between, New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And you should go because can you walk in? Do I need reservations? Or
you can walk in. You can make reservations, but it's always cool to walk in.
And you do have fried chicken there.
We do.
As well as but you're doing a mixture of
It's like the real Americana kind of style. It's like half roast chicken, a burger, great steak. Pork
what kind
chops,
of steak?
Strips.
Yeah, you like strip better than ribeye, or it's just better served at a restaurant?
Both. But I am a strip guy.
I'm only strip, strangely, on Wagyu style stuff.
Okay.
I like a Wagyu style strip better than a Wagyu style ribeye.
Sure. I think the strip. I like the snap of a strip when you're eating it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I have so many questions. I'm gonna have to get to these next time. But there's a question. There's one that. Which one that you would like here? I have a 600 CFM hood installed in my kitchen. I've been a little disappointed so far. Tried searing a steak tonight and noticed that the air quality index spiked up for 10 minutes while I was searing the steak. I was doing it with an 18K BTU burner. I thought that installing the hood this powerful would mean that I could cook it and fry it with impunity without having to worry. I was wondering if this is reasonable. No. Now you're looking at, Sean, back me up on this. It's 400 CFM per foot. And the average hood that people put in at home doesn't even extend over your range.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, and it doesn't have makeup air. You need makeup air to get it to work right.
Open a door.
Yeah. So, you know what I do? You can build a mini hood with a low CFM that's literally goes over a single burner.
Okay.
And that works like a mammoth jam. And that's how I fry at home now. I have a little house I've built out of coroplast that fits over my fryer and has a 6-inch tube that goes boom, maybe it's even 4 only, right out the window.
Oh, cool.
With a marijuana growing inline fan. Now it's not safe because it's not meant to take the heat, but you're only using it. You're not cooking. You know what I mean?
You're not braising overnight.
No, you're not doing anything. Oh my God, do we have any more time for it? There's one that I thought, Quinn, were any of these questions good for Sean? I can't remember. Is he gone?
Does he have a knowledge of nixtamalization? Or we could address Kirk Gibson? Just for a future episode?
Well, Kirk Gibson, I'll just read it. I'll read it. I work for a charity that helps out food and beverage workers, givingkitchen.org. We offer emergency assistance if someone is facing injury / illness, funeral, natural disaster situations, since they often don't have private ability to get that. We also offer free suicide prevention training for any F&B manager in the country. I would love it if one of our founders could come on the pod to talk about the industry. Sure. And we have one of them on, right? We are definitely wish that people in the industry had a little more support than they do in kind of all ways. Anyway, Sean, thanks so much for coming on. Come on again. I gotta go. Occasionally I do drive out that way.
Yeah, come on out.
I would love to.
Yeah, it's nice.
Check it out. Get the fried chicken. Get it hot.
Get it hot.
Get it hot. Do you have any cold for people to do AB?
I've done it. One person was like, "Hey, can I just try it? I never had it." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not. Hasn't been through the inferno, tech, but."
All right, so here's one thing. I'm sorry, I'm going to leave this. I know we're late. Listen, JJ Basil. JJ Basil also works for the Empire, used to work for Wiley, was my student for a while at a French Culinary Institute. JJ Basil is the person who developed the fuku sandwich, right? Have you guys ever had a chicken off?
No. No.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah. I know, he's good.
Where there's life, there's hope. You guys should have a
Yeah.
chicken off, but we need to have multiple chicken offs. You need to be like best category cold, best category sandwich.
I like that.
And just like go chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, best
All right.
wing, best leg,
We got to do it.
best breast.
Yeah, gotta do it. All right. Anyway, Sean, thanks for coming on.
Great.
Talk to you soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Cooking issues.